The summer sun beat down on my backyard, where my private pool sparkled like a hidden gem. But every day, a nosy neighbor, Karen, peered over the fence, her eyes burning with entitlement. She demanded access, claiming it was community property. Her words dripped with prejudice, questioning why someone like me deserved such luxury. What she didn't know was that her boldness would backfire spectacularly, landing her in a trap that exposed her true colors to the world. The neighborhood was a quiet slice of suburban America, rows of neat houses with manicured lawns, nestled in a small town where everyone knew each other's business. I'd moved here 2 years ago, the only black homeowner on the block, drawn by the promise of a peaceful life. My pride and joy was the backyard oasis, a shimmering pool I'd saved for years to build. It was my sanctuary, a place to unwind after long workdays, the water reflecting dreams I'd fought hard to achieve, but peace was fleeting. Karen, the self-appointed neighborhood watchdog, lived next door. Her house, with its pristine white picket fence, screamed privilege. She was the kind who'd smile at block parties, but whisper complaints about newcomers changing the vibe. Her stares lingered too long when I mowed my lawn, her comments sharp with undertones I couldn't ignore. It started subtly. She'd comment on my pool's fancy upkeep or question how I afforded it, her tone laced with suspicion. Then came the demands. One sweltering afternoon, she knocked on my door, her face flushed with audacity, insisting the neighborhood kids deserved access to my pool. "It's only fair," she said, her words implying my ownership was somehow unjust. I politely declined, citing privacy and liability, but her eyes narrowed and I felt the weight of her judgment. She didn't see me as a neighbor, just as someone who didn't belong. Days later, I caught her peering over the fence, snapping photos of my property. Whispers of HOA violations floated through the grapevine, though my pool met every regulation. Her entitlement grew bolder, fueled by a sense of superiority that stung deeper than her words. I knew this wasn't just about a pool. It was about her discomfort with my presence in her neighborhood. The tension escalated as summer wore on. Karen's campaign intensified, her complaints now public at HOA meetings. She rallied neighbors, spinning tales of my pool being a safety hazard or an eyesore. Her arguments were flimsy, but her rhetoric leaned on coded language, hints that I was an outsider, that my success was suspicious. Some neighbors nodded along, their silence louder than her words. I felt the isolation creeping in, the sting of being judged not for my actions, but for who I was. My pool, once a symbol of hard-earned joy, became a battleground. I checked my security cameras daily, noticing Karen's frequent visits to the fence line. One evening, I spotted her letting herself into my yard, testing the gate's lock. My stomach churned. She was crossing lines, both literal and figurative. I reported it to the HOA, but they dismissed it as a misunderstanding. Frustration gnawed at me, but I refused to let her win. I began researching property laws, consulting a lawyer friend who confirmed my rights. The pool was mine, built on my land, fully permitted. Yet Karen's persistence grew, her entitlement a mask for something uglier. She left notes in my mailbox, demanding I share or face consequences, her tone implying I owed the neighborhood something I'd never agreed to give. I couldn't shake the feeling that her obsession wasn't just about the pool. It was about control, about reminding me I was different. The whispers at the grocery store, the side eyes from her allies, it all piled up, a weight I carried silently. But I wasn't backing down. I upgraded my cameras, installed motion sensors, and documented every move. Karen's boldness was her weakness, and I sensed an opportunity to turn her game against her. One humid evening, the trap was set. I'd had enough of Karen's intrusions, her veiled racism cloaked in neighborhood concern. My lawyer suggested a plan. Let her overstep, catch her in the act, and let the law handle the rest. I posted a fake sign near the pool, announcing an open swim day for the community, knowing it would lure her in. The cameras were rolling, hidden in strategic spots, capturing every angle. Sure enough, Karen took the bait. Under the cover of dusk, she climbed over my fence, her confidence betraying her. She carried a towel, as if she owned the place, and even brought a friend to inspect my property. My heart raced as I watched from my phone, the live feed showing her strutting toward the pool. She dipped her toes in, muttering about how it was wasted on me. Her friend nodded, tossing around words like fairness and standards, their voices dripping with disdain. I called the police, reporting a trespasser, my voice steady despite the anger bubbling inside. Within minutes, sirens pierced the quiet street. Karen froze as officers approached, her face a mix of shock and defiance. She tried to spin a story, claiming she was invited, but the cameras told the truth. The fake sign, the recorded footage, her own words, it was undeniable. The officers cuffed her, her protests echoing as they led her to the squad car. Her friend slunk away, humiliated, as neighbors peeked from their windows, the spectacle unfolding. The arrest wasn't just a legal win. It was a moment of reckoning. Karen's entitlement, her assumption that she could invade my space and question my place, had crumbled. The footage spread online, neighbors sharing it with captions calling out her behavior. For the first time, I felt the tide shift. People who'd stayed silent now reached out, apologizing, admitting they'd seen her bias but hadn't spoken up. The weight of isolation lifted, replaced by a fragile hope. In the weeks that followed, Karen's arrest became the talk of the town. The HOA issued a public apology, revising their complaint process to prevent baseless attacks. Karen moved away, her reputation in tatters, unable to face the neighbors who now saw her for what she was. My pool remained my sanctuary, no longer a symbol of conflict, but of resilience. I hosted a small barbecue for the neighbors who'd supported me, their kids splashing in the water, laughter replacing the tension that once hung over us. But the victory was bittersweet. The sting of Karen's prejudice lingered, a reminder of how quickly acceptance could turn to exclusion. I'd won this battle, but the war against subtle biases in places like this was far from over. My story spread beyond the neighborhood, sparking conversations online about entitlement and the quiet racism that festers in perfect communities. Viewers shared their own experiences, their comments a mix of outrage and solidarity. It struck me that my fight wasn't just mine. It was for anyone who'd ever felt out of place, their worth questioned by those too blind to see their humanity. What does it take for a neighborhood to truly welcome everyone? How many Karens are out there, hiding behind rules to mask their discomfort with difference? If this story opened your eyes, like the video and subscribe. Share your thoughts below. Have you faced a Karen in your own life? Let's keep this conversation going.